Okay, thanks, John. You can go back to the town hall, and we'll come back to item 11 and see if we can scoot through that. So that's the major facilities update. What I will do is just open it up for questions on any specific projects that councillors might have that are in this report.
Yep.
Any questions, anybody? No? Okay. Really? Fine, okay. Good stuff. I've got one question. The old municipal chambers.
Yes.
What's the latest on that? Is that part of the tender?
Yes, so there's a paper coming back to council on the expression of interest has come to a head now. Yeah. So we've got some future use options. Lee Sampson, the project manager, is bringing a paper into council, which will be very soon. With that, so that's one part that closes out the future use of that particular project and the options that we've got. So we'll present them to council as an option report. The second part of that OMC is there is a 300k capital cost on the for the repair strategy for the roof currently, which is to stop the damage that's currently occurring. That's been scoped and spec'd and is going to the market in the next week. So we should expect to have that in and underway before the financial year ends. So.
Good. Thank you. Dion?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question on the Metro Sports Facility funding. In the cost share agreement, and I apologise, here it is, Schedule 6, it's capped at 146.996, and that's the budget that we've got on the spreadsheet that we have here. But in the actual capital budget CPMS, we've got 151,325. I just wanted to understand, is that because of an inflationary number, or why is that more?
So there is a cap figure of 147, which is the cost share agreement. Yep. Yeah. And the balance is for staff costs and consultant costs from our side of the business. So that's
on top of our capped amount.
It's budgeted for. It's within CPMS, so it's capped. There's a budget in CPMS is 151,325. 429. Our funding is 147 of that number.
So that difference is.
So the difference is about 4.3 million, which is the cost of our consultant costs and staff costs.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Phil.
Thanks, Alistair. Just in relation to the Hornby Library part, I just wanted to ask you, like this clear reference in the scope to creating community meeting spaces, and that sounds really good. And like it may well be that the planning isn't isn't at the point that I'm going to ask you about, but it's just that could we probably especially in light of the recent tragic events, and given that a lot of people from different cultures live in the Hornby area, could we make sure that for those meeting spaces that we include opportunity, but also so that they're designed to, I guess, be good, comfortable facilities for people of all cultures. So there is plenty of space for different cultural groups to be able to meet.
Yep. Well, we're in consultation at the moment, and that closes on the 15th of this month. So in the meantime, Peter McGibbon, the project manager, is holding a wee workshop with the heads of each of the service providers for that to discuss next steps, and that will be included in that discussion. Now that you've mentioned it.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Yeah, so on all the project timelines, there's generally planning, design, construction, the three different coloured ones. Under Performing Arts Precinct, there used to be others. Now it's just planning and no other delivery timelines there. Given it was meant to be finished and open by now, and we're just back at planning, when will we see those other timelines back in here?
Probably the very next paper that comes to you, to be quite honest, now that we've got a decision.
Another month, so the following month to this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll see some clearer timelines?
Pathway, yeah, the pathway, because we've now got a next steps which has been approved in council. So. Great,
okay, so that'll be good to see. And then the one, the Linwood Pool one, it's in the design phase. Was the conversation ever had with the community there versus an indoor pool, the style we've got, versus an outdoor larger facility? Because from people I've spoke to over there, that wasn't had as a conversation. It's just gone to this style and design.
No, I'd have to check. I'd have to check with Kent Summerfield, the PM, but I know that there was a substantial amount of community engagement and involvement and consultation on that pool complex.
So, what was that ever an option presented to the community like
check. If you give me the opportunity to check, I'll check.
Okay,
yep.
Cool, that'd be good.
Yanni, then Pauline.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand some of these timeframes. So, I struggle to understand how a local swimming pool takes the same amount of time to design as the multi-use arena. It just seems like the timeframes for design are just so excessive. So have we got any process underway to kind of review why these things are taking so long? And how do we actually align really massive projects with what should be smaller, more local ones to have quicker timeframes? Because just sort of looking at this, it does stand out like Hornby and Linwood taking as long as the Canterbury multi-use arena to design.
So it's scalable for a start. Is one issue you've got, and the complexity is the secondary issue as well. So most pool complexes are quite complex in their own right, and they do take a considerable amount of design time in the program. What we do is we put in an indicative timeline for most of these, and as we get to the detail, we can start to refine these to suit the detail. So it's about each individual project. So the CMUA at the minute, our timeline for design, there's 6 basic parts of that structure. It's quite, in essence, it's large scale, but it's quite simple. But if you look at a pool complex, it's quite detailed, and requires a lot of detail and a lot of engineering support. So both of them can be refined once we understand the detail, the level of detail in the program.
So are we looking at, I think the point was made previously in the previous report that one of the backlogs around capital works is the ability to design. Are we looking at bringing in more in-house design capability to council to try and deal with maybe some of these timeframes?
Well, look, we haven't what we'd call an excessive period of design on any of our projects to date. I mean, there's been some time for. We have different processes to go through as well, which is a lot of that's consultation as well, and then review, and then obviously deliver papers to council for approval. So all of that gets incorporated within the programme. With regards to professional services in-house, we are utilising professional services where we can, and once we've spoke to them and understood their capacity and capability to deliver parts of projects, we're utilising those teams. We're using them right now on a couple of projects, so it's about capacity and whether you'd require them for a longer period of time, because then you're looking at full-time employment for people.
Right, okay. And I just wondered in terms of these, whether we're looking at a multicultural advisor being able to provide input and advice. I know, for example, Linwood Pool, culturally appropriate facilities was something that was raised in the engagement, but when you look at through the updates here around who's being sort of, reviewed by the design, it's not including a multicultural advisor. So I just wondered whether that's something that we should be doing for
Linwood in particular?
Projects. Well, I'm just talking about general across the board.
Yeah, it's definitely goes through that process, because we have talked about that at PSG level, so we definitely are. We're cognizant of it. Put it that way. Right. We might not record it in words, but we're definitely cognizant.
So for our major projects now, we will go through the multicultural advisor just to check that we've got culturally appropriate designs.
Yes.
Great, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, just on that, I don't know, but with the St Albans Community Centre, which is part of my question, our community board has formed a working party with members of the community and the residents' associations and a couple of members of the community board, and we're working through all those sorts of things at a community board level, which I think is a better place for that conversation. I'm just wondering where the St Albans Community Centre is on this.
Won't be on mine. It's not one of my projects.
It's not a major.
No.
Yeah, it's not on this.
So where does it sit?
It's communities. It sits with Darren.
It'll come next month. We do the communities and the major.
Right.
On a 2-month cycle.
Right, because that's confused me, because I thought the Linwood Pool was a community. So
it's a project being delivered by my unit.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
Okay. Jimmy.
I just want to know some of the community facility, we take the kind of channel through working group, they including the maybe local council, community board, and also community. But some of them is the staff directly engage with the community, etc. Or just go ahead. I just want to know what's the criteria.
To discuss what with who?
But discuss, for instance, like even Linwood Pool or Hornby Library, etc.
Yes.
This kind of just engage with community representative. Why it's not, to take the working group, or working party to go ahead regarding particular for the design or even for the construction, etc.
So,
what's the criteria?
So we engage when we need to engage. We engage with the community group, the community board. Linwood in particular, Southwest Leisure has been one of the most accessible community boards for this point for discussion and for discussion about next steps across the board. So I'm not quite. We are communicating with each and every person in that environment, and we are engaging. So. We've got a large group of people and a large team that are working together to ensure that we don't miss a trick, specifically on Southwest Leisure.
Right, anything else? Okay, got a resolution to accept this information. I'm happy to move. Seconded Andrew. Any debate? Put the motion. All in favour say aye. Aye. Aye against. That's carried. Thank you very much, Alistair.